Hello everyone, Charles here, and today I'm going to show you how to make an AFK Underworld Farm. This is a relatively simple farm that consists of an area for enemies to spawn, minecart tracks for you to pick up the items, dart traps to kill the enemies, and a large empty area that prevents enemies from spawning outside the farm. It can be made as soon as you can mine hellstone and have access to the mechanic, and excluding the boss, can farm for every single enemy currently in the underworld, including red devils and mimics. It does have one slight problem though. That is that it's not completely safe, with bone serpents being able to hit you on rare occasions, and there being a very small chance that the wall of flesh can spawn, although you can fix this by dealing with the guide. But beside this slight danger, this is a great farm if you want to save yourself the headache of farming for annoying items like obsidian roses or fire feathers. And without further ado, let's continue. Although you could technically build the farm anywhere in the underworld, it helps if you build it away from the obsidian houses and more towards the edges of the map. It also helps if you build in an area with a large amount of lava, as nothing can spawn in lava, and we'll be using this to our advantage to save some time when spawn proofing. Shown in this first chest is everything needed to make the farm. Notable items include the treasure magnet for increased pickup range, some sort of ranged minion like an imp to help deal with bone serpents, and fireproof platforms. And by fireproof, I mean that the platforms don't get destroyed by lava, meaning either stone brick platforms or obsidian platforms. The second chest has mostly optional items like summoning gear if you want to be extra safe, and dynamite to speed up the excavation process. I also put battle potions in there for some reason, but they should really be in the first chest just because of how powerful they are. Before we begin building, we'll need to create a large no spawn zone around the farm so that enemies only spawn where we want them to. This will be centered around the minecart tracks, so go ahead and place those down first, making sure they're about 20 blocks up from the floor. Also, be sure to hammer the ends of the minecart tracks so that they bounce you back and forth like this. After placing the minecart tracks down, we'll use blocks to measure out the exact dimensions of the no spawn zone. Start at the end of the minecart tracks and place 85 blocks away from them in a straight line. After placing those down, you want to place another 50 blocks upwards like so. Mirror this on the other side and you'll have two giant L's like this. The next step will be to remove everything between these two L's so that we have a nice clear area like this. Now that you've cleared the area above where the farm will be, it's time to clear the area below it. This part is pretty simple. All you have to do is make sure that the area underneath all the blocks and minecart tracks that you've placed is covered in lava. It can be even the tiniest amount of lava, like what I'm standing on right now. Just make sure it's actually covering the surface of the blocks, not just touching the sides. After you're done, your no spawn zone should look something like this. This area is large enough to prevent enemies from spawning outside the farm, so you can ignore everything past the 85 blocks on both sides of the minecart tracks. Also, make sure to remove all of the blocks before you continue. Now we can finally get to building the farm. To start off, begin by placing your building blocks directly above the minecart tracks, leaving about a 4 block gap between the two so that you have enough height to jump. Once you've reached the end, place a single platform on top of the edge to allow lava to escape, and then from here, continue placing building blocks upwards until you reach the ceiling. You'll want to do this for the other side as well. Next, all you have to do is place down your platforms directly on top of your building blocks, like so. It is extremely important that we have these platforms, because the lava from the lava slimes will simply flow down to the blocks below. And we can't just use normal blocks for the enemies to spawn on, because the lava will simply sit on them, and as we already know, enemies can't spawn in lava. Now it's time for the dart traps. To start, go towards one edge of the farm, and place a dart trap directly on top of a platform facing towards the farm. From this trap, you'll place the rest of the darts down directly behind it, making sure that they are all facing the farm and have a 10 block gap between each other. Once this is done, you'll want to actuate all of the dart traps by placing an actuator on them, using it once, and then removing the actuators. This allows the dart traps to shoot through each other so that they create a constant barrage of darts that is able to stun lock fire imps and prevent them from shooting or teleporting. Once this step is completed, all you have to do is remove the blocks between the dart traps and connect them all up to a timer. I didn't connect all of the traps in this clip because I forgot, but you'll have 14 in total that you'll need to connect to the timer. One more thing on the traps. If you're using this farm in hard mode and dealing with red devils, you want to place a few extra traps about halfway up the wall on the side of the farm. Red devils have a tendency to fly out of the range of the normal barrage, so by placing these traps here, you'll be able to hit them and refresh the debuffs while they lollygag in the air. Also, if you're in hard mode, I recommend upgrading the normal dart traps to the venom dart traps, since they do a little bit more damage but inflict some nasty debuffs. The very last step will be to add water candles, demon torches, and gnomes for boosted spawn rates and luck. When placing them, they need to be underneath the roof of the farm and should only be at most 2 blocks away from the roof. If they are any lower than that, such as the platforms I am currently standing on, then enemies will be able to spawn on those platforms, and that's definitely not what we want. Basically, just make sure that there isn't enough room for you to stand on the platforms. At this point, the farm is completely done, so if you want to go ahead and use it, be my guest. But if you remember earlier, I said that there was a small chance that the wall of flesh could spawn in this farm. The chance of this happening is pretty slim, as a voodoo doll can only be burned if a lava slime dies directly above it. I don't really care about dying to the boss, however, if you do, you can completely prevent him from spawning by politely asking the guy to leave your world and then removing any valid housing that could cause him to come back. Anyway, that's all I have to say about the farm. I appreciate the fact that you've gotten this far, and if you have any feedback on how I should improve future videos, such as how I speak or the editing, please let me know. Alright, that does it for this video, so I'll see you in the next one. Peace.